What if that strange feeling you've carried for so long isn't just fatigue or apathy? What if it's the quiet, almost inaudible voice of your soul reaching the end of its journey? You increasingly feel like an observer of life rather than a participant. Others' opinions no longer sway you, the chase for achievements fades, and thoughts of death evoke not fear but a strange serenity. The world feels familiar down to the smallest detail, as if you've lived it many times before, and perhaps you have. But now, this may be the last time. Edgar Cayce, one of the 20th century's most enigmatic prophets, called reincarnation the soul's greatest opportunity. With each birth we move closer to remembering, but one day the cycle completes. A soul that has known pain, love, doubt, and faith reaches its conclusion. Here are 9 signs you may be nearing your final incarnation. This is not an answer or an instruction, just a reminder that the journey home may begin with simply recognizing yourself. Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, lived in the early 20th century and became one of the most mysterious figures in esoteric and spiritual teachings. He wasn't a medium in the traditional sense. He had no interest in shows or magic. His gift emerged in deep trance states during sleep, when he allegedly accessed what he called the Akashic Records, a universal repository of all knowledge. Cayce spoke of illnesses, predicted future events, recounted past lives, and shared insights that often proved ahead of their time. Yet his deepest, most overlooked reflections were on reincarnation, the end of incarnational cycles, and the soul's state as it nears its return home. According to Cayce, every soul undergoes countless earthly lives, each a lesson. Repeating patterns of pain, desires, and struggles are part of the learning. But eventually, the soul recognizes these patterns and begins to release them. It loses interest in accumulation, fame, and conflict, replaced by calm and a profound inner memory of something greater. This isn't just spiritual maturity. It may signal the cycle's end. Cayce described it as the gentle unraveling of karmic knots and a return to primordial knowing. At the core of his teachings, the soul as an eternal, evolving consciousness passing through matter to one day remember, it was always free. Sign 1. Detachment from the material world. You may still enjoy nature, music, or moments of connection, but a quiet certainty lingers. This world isn't truly yours. It's as if you're watching a play rather than acting in it. This isn't apathy or depression. It's an inner knowing you're here temporarily. Cayce called it quiet remembrance. Material goals, career, status, validation no longer excite you. They seem like a game, intriguing but illusory. Within, a steadiness whispers that what matters lies beyond the visible. At first, this may unsettle you. It lacks familiar motivation. But it's actually liberation. The soul stops mistaking the stage for home, and in this detachment, a hint emerges. You no longer seek meaning outside, because it's already within. Sign 2. Frequent and vivid déjà vu. You often experience moments where you know this has happened before. Not a fleeting glitch, but a full-bodied memory of this place, these words, this moment. These episodes grow longer, brighter, and more emotionally charged. Cayce saw déjà vu as glimpses of the soul's memory, echoes of similar moments in past lives. As the incarnational cycle nears completion, time's boundaries blur. Space and time soften, and these recognitions become windows to something vast. It's no accident. It's a reminder. You've lived many lives, and your soul remembers. Such moments may bring melancholy or peace, because deep down, you sense your story stretches far beyond this one biography. Sign 3. peace in the face of death. When death is mentioned, you feel no panic. It doesn't mean you welcome it or are indifferent, just that the old fear is gone. There's a sense you've done this before, many times. Cayce said souls nearing the cycle's end carry the memory of transitions. To them, death isn't tragedy, it's return. Not an end, but a change of form, like an in-breath followed by a long-awaited exhale. This isn't philosophy. It's a felt knowing, arising not from the mind, but the body, the heart, the quiet that comes when you stop clinging. You live, love, and feel, but no longer grip tightly. In this state, each moment is lived more fully. Fear no longer obscures, it releases, and with it goes anxiety, leaving only clarity. Sign 4. Fading material ambitions. What once drove you, success, recognition, accumulation, victory, loses its weight, not from exhaustion, but from an inner sense of completion, as if you've played every role, worn every mask, won and lost. And now, silence. Cayce called it the natural exhaustion of desire. The soul no longer seeks externally what it already holds within. Ambitions don't vanish but lose their desperate edge. You no longer need to prove anything. Actions flow from fullness, not lack. This calm isn't passivity. It births a new kind of action, free of struggle. When goals cease to be escapes from fear and become the soul's natural movement, it's a sign of deep maturity. And often, it means the cycle nears its close. Sign 5. Increased synchronicities. You notice uncanny coincidences, too precise to be random. Think of someone, and they message. Ponder a question, and the answer appears in a book or conversation. The world seems to speak your private language. Cayce claimed that as the cycle completes, the soul's connection to reality refines. Boundaries between inner and outer dissolve. The world becomes a mirror of your state. These synchronicities are signals, confirmations you're on your path. Each one deepens trust. Nothing is wasted. It may unsettle the rational mind, but that's the point. A completing soul no longer sees a mechanical universe. It sees consciousness, intention, wisdom, and the closer you are to returning, the clearer this quiet dialogue becomes. Sign 6. Shifting perception of time. Once solid constructs, days, events, sequences turn fluid. Time seems to speed up or freeze. The past resurfaces not as memory, but as if it happened yesterday. The future feels less like the unknown and more like a familiar road. Cayce said linear perception dissolves as the earthly journey concludes. The world begins to feel like a dream, vivid yet temporary. You sense something vast behind the visible. This isn't theory but lived experience. Sometimes it arrives abruptly, a sudden knowing that everything is a backdrop hiding light. Life doesn't lose meaning, it deepens. But you no longer believe this is all there is. The soul remembers. Reality is a surface, and you're seeing through it. Sign 7. Awareness beyond personality. You increasingly feel your name, job, or story are just shells. They matter, but no longer define you. A quiet certainty arises. You're not a role, a history, or a social mask. You're something deeper. Cayce described this as a shift toward the superconscious, where personality is seen as a tool, not identity. This isn't self-loss, it's a richer presence. No need to prove or perform. Just being is enough. Often, this brings peace and lightness. The world's demands fade, and external validation loses its grip. The soul lives from within outward, and in this, wholeness emerges. To realize you're not a name or form, but pure being, this is among the clearest signs the cycle is ending. Sign 8. Deep acceptance of suffering. You stop fighting pain as an enemy. Suffering no longer triggers resistance. It's seen as part of the path, a lesson, a purification. You may cry, feel loneliness, or grieve, yet an undercurrent of peace remains. Cayce believed souls nearing the end of incarnations lose their fear of suffering. They've endured it in too many forms. They begin to see its hidden strength, like fire that tempers rather than destroys. This isn't masochism or passivity, it's maturity. Those who've walked far no longer deny pain, for they understand. It awakens the soul. Where once you sought escape, now you learn to be with it, to listen. And increasingly you notice clarity follows pain, and after clarity, light, the light of one who remembers why they're here. Sign 9, the feeling of homecoming. At times, for no reason, you feel you're already walking home. It defies logic, a warm, almost childlike longing, as if recalling where it all began. Cayce said as the cycle concludes, the soul hears the call of its source. Not a physical place or paradise, but an inner knowing that everything is completing, like a story with all chapters written. A peace arises, untouched by circumstances. Old wounds lose their sting. Others' opinions cease to matter. The urge to argue fades. In their place, simple gratitude for being, breathing, feeling. This is the energy of return. If you often sense this world isn't the final stop, that ahead lies not void, but light, your soul may indeed be nearing the end. And remembering what it is. Closing thoughts. These 9 signs aren't dogma or diagnoses. They're subtle signals, impossible to measure but possible to feel. Detachment, déjà vu, synchronicities, peace with death, fading ambitions. Alone, they may seem odd or unsettling. Together, they paint a portrait of profound transition. Cayce insisted, the soul knows when it's completing. It doesn't fear, flee, or fight. It remembers. If you recognize even a few of these signs, you may be nearing return. Not as escape, but as a circle closing. This is when consciousness unfolds and life ceases to be a battle, becoming instead awake presence. If this is true, if souls are indeed finishing their cycles, our world is shifting in ways we can't yet grasp. Such souls don't come to destroy or save. They come to live their final chapter with clarity. Their task isn't to leave a mark, but a light. This doesn't mean life gets easier. Often, the last incarnation holds the hardest lessons, because they're the last. But in these trials, fear is absent. In its place, understanding, trust, and the certainty that everything has meaning. Cayce warned these souls may feel lonely, unrecognized, out of place. But this isn't isolation, it's depth. And if you've read this far, you likely carry that light. It isn't loud, it just is. And it's needed. We've walked through 9 subtle but profound signs that, per Edgar Cayce, may point to a soul's final incarnation. This isn't exact science or absolute truth, it's a reminder that you're more than a body, a name, or the story you tell. These signs are inner flickers of awareness. They arrive quietly, demanding neither attention nor belief. But when you notice them, when they resonate one after another, it's no coincidence. It's a call. You may already be on this path. And if so, it's not cause for fear, but an invitation to live the remainder, not as struggle but as unfolding. Not as a race, but as presence. Not as an end, but as a return to the beginning. If something inside you has grown quieter, clearer, don't keep it to yourself. Share this with others who are also seeking. Support this channel with a like, comment, or subscription. It helps these reflections reach those ready to hear. We don't create content for clicks. We hold space for awakening souls. for those who sense there's more beyond words. After all, this isn't just a channel, it's a path back to yourself, and your response helps us go deeper. Did you recognize yourself in these signs? Do you feel something within, hard to explain but impossible to ignore? Which states felt familiar, yet unnamed? Share in the comments. Your experience may help others just starting this journey. Sometimes to awaken, all it takes is realizing you're not alone.